for a while. And recently there was a court case out of Australia that I put into the EMDR News site and various things. And birth trauma was one of the things that we have information on. All right. Hello, everybody. Oh, I got some echoes. Hold on one second. All right. Hopefully that helps with the echo. Great. So, welcome back, Dr. V here from EMDR News. Today, we're kind of closing down our summer sessions, and I'm hoping that some of what we've discussed has been helpful for you in your journey through EMDR and in your thinking about therapy in general. So, we've also had a couple guests on, and we'll hopefully have some more in the next in the fall season here. So, hopefully, you're able to watch some of the material from Adele and from Sebastian as they talked about finances and veteran housing, respectively. So, one of the things that I'm hoping that we can get into next season, next month, is just talking about what we know, right? And trying to make sure that when we have our conversations with our clients, when we are exploring things in terms of therapy and how things work with our clients, that we are providing informed consent so that we can give them the information they need to make appropriate decisions. And one of those things that I want to talk about or look forward to talking about is what the evidence is telling us. And that goes with EMDR as well as other therapies, right? We have emotional freedom technique, the tapping thing, your brain spotting out there, um, various other therapies that have some component to them that might not be as well researched or as accepted. And one of the things that brings this up for me, right? One of these things that really shocked me, and this was many years ago, probably 2010, maybe around then. I'm not quite sure exactly. But one of the things that I did was take a hypnotherapy course. And that hypnotherapy course is very interesting, but it left me with some anxiety, some fear, I guess, in terms of what we're doing to our clients. So you have to imagine this, right? So the issue is that, hey, we know that hypnotherapy works, right? But what are we doing inside of a hypnotherapy course with the people that we're training? So in this case, we had we would practice on each other. We'd get people into a suggestible state, and most of the stuff was kind of just emotional and getting in touch with different levels of protector parts or whatever you want to say. It wasn't said like that. It's not like IFS, but it was something along like getting in touch with your adult self and whatnot. They even did, I think, a version of rebirthing at one point, which I thought was interesting. But I digress. So one of the things that was concerning, besides some of the other things that were concerning at the time, was that somebody brought out a crystal, and I'm already like, oh boy, crystals. So what I thought was interesting is that the person that was laying on the ground after a full day of working on hypnosis and becoming more and more vulnerable to suggestion was a skeptic. And they were laying on the ground, and the person coming over the crystal is like, I'm going to use this crystal to find where your energy is blocked. Right. And so we're watching this happen, and what's really cool is when the crystal starts to move seemingly by itself, right? It starts to like go in circles, right? Of course, there's a person holding it, the therapist is holding it, but it starts to circle, and the therapist says, "This is where your energy is blocked. Do you feel that?" And the person on the floor says, "No, I don't feel that. Right? I don't feel anything." It's just like, okay, just notice a little bit longer, right? And then the person's like, "Yeah, I think I'm starting to feel something," right? So what is wrong with that? So there's different layers of suggestion going on here, right? That you should feel something in your body when there's a crystal going across you. Not the crystal's doing anything of it at all, right? Is a suggestion, right? The research has shown that the crystal doesn't move by itself. It's moving because the person that is holding it expects it to move, and they're by that expectancy, they're actually moving it unconsciously. They are moving it though. It's the person that's moving it. So um, there's just layers upon layers of suggestion in this course, and it wasn't, hey, we're here to show you how easy that you're being you're being hypnotized, or how suggestion can affect you. That wasn't it. This was just, hey, accept this, because this is what we're teaching you, and don't question, I guess, the crystal work, or the idea that we're telling you to feel certain things or something like that. So this is important because this feeds into a lot of the work that we do, right? Because a lot of us do parts work. A lot of us talk about some of the body sensations and emotions, and how we talk about them is important. We don't want to talk about this work in a way that pretends that it's real, right? That, hey, yes, there is an actual part of you that is doing something. There's a protector part or something like that that is actually there. There's a way that you can still have some of that effect without um, providing that suggestion to the person, to the point where they're accepting the therapist's point of view, or the therapist's suggestion, right, about something or other. So we'll be doing some conversations on that. But wherever we find some of the research not necessarily meeting the claim is what we want to do, because we want to bust through the noise. We want to say, hey, this is what's happening. This is the signal. This is what we think we know at this point, right? But we do want to make sure that we are also saying, hey, there's no evidence of this other stuff, right? So we're going to look at suggestion pretty hard. Some of the other things that are what we can look at in terms of the research are other claims, like the brain spotting claims, right? Where does brain spotting work in terms of the research, and what is not so sure, right? Because when you're talking about like the neurology, the field where the idea that there's a certain segment of the brain that holding something in front of your eyes is going to have an effect on it. There's no evidence, or there's very limited evidence of any of that, right? So we're always looking at what's happening there. Does it mean it doesn't work? No. Right? So yes, certain things work, but we want to figure out, okay, what are we saying? What is our claim after that? Is the claim match what we know? And if it doesn't, then what can we say about it that is respecting our clients, respecting our profession, and respecting ourselves, so that we can move forward? And we can say, I don't know. And that's okay, right? That's fine. I mean, even medication has this particular point where we don't know for sure exactly how these things are working. It's true, right? So we have ideas and stuff like that. We have some understanding, but we're not 100% sure what the medication is doing, right? And then for each person, the medication is going to work different anyway. So there's some person by person differences that we would have to look at. Why does it work better for one person and not another? And we've talked about genetics. We've talked about, or well, there has been talk about genetics, and there has been talk about other reasons why certain medications work better. And we have a test that we can take in order to see if we might have better reactions to certain medications. So we are working along the genetic lines and whatnot. So looking forward into the fall, we are also going to be pulling back a little bit. We're not going to be doing this every day. We're going to be doing this twice a week. We'll be doing this Mondays and Thursdays. And the EMDR News website itself is also going to have a new schedule. So it'll be coming out on Wednesdays. Doesn't mean that there might not be stuff that pops up on the website, or even some of these, right? Some of the maybe live, but some of the things things that would pop up based on just things that are happening that might be worth looking at. But generally, the schedule is going to be Monday and Thursday at 9:30 at the moment. If my schedule changes with work, with with the full time stuff that I do, we might make it a little bit earlier. But you can always watch it, after the fact. But I'm going to do it live for you as much as possible. So Mondays and Thursdays, and then Wednesdays we'll be sending out the newsletter, which will also coincide with the update of the website. So keep track on those things, and that just helps make sure that the work that we're bringing you is quality instead of just trying to pump out more and more stuff. There's tons of stuff. There's probably no end of stuff. However, we want to make sure that it's put out there in a way that can be received in a better, more appropriate manner. So I'm excited about that. We also will still bring in guests. So we do have a couple people already on the docket that I gotta reach out to and nail them down. But if you know somebody that wants to be a guest that you or think that there might be some information that they have that they would want on here, just let me know, or on the website for that matter. I am not trying to necessarily advertise for people all the time that are providing um, workshops unless they're free. We can talk about if you want to advertise, but in terms of for financial reasons, but then that might be something a different conversation. But at the same time, if there's a free thing that you're giving out, a free webinar, a free something, feel free and reach out. They could be good lead magnets on some level as well, right? You can get people to kind of get to know you and who you are and what you're offering, and that might be an avenue for you to kind of get some of that information out without charging somebody for it. So yeah, so those are the three things that we're looking at, right? Moving the uh, live desk, which we're talking about today, the live streams to 2 days a week on Mondays and Thursdays. The newsletter and the website will be coming out on Wednesday. So those are two things, newsletter and the website. I am going to be working with the Paradise Institute, right? The other branch of the one that owns EMDR News. And we're going to be putting out some consultation stuff and then some training stuff as well as time goes on. So, keep an eye out and hopefully you'll be able to, get the information that you need, find things that are helpful, and move forward in your mental health careers. If you are not an EMDR trained person, there's still going to be a lot here for you, right? The guests that we had are not EMDR guests. These are people that we had a finance person and we had somebody that works with homelessness for veterans. So we're not always going to be looking at specific EMDR or maybe even mental health sometimes. We're going to be talking about some other aspects. I myself will always try to bring it back to mental health and showing how we can imagine the effect that trauma would have on the issue, or vice versa. How the issue would impact our experience of the traumas and whatnot that we went through. Okay, so I'm excited. I'm gonna get out a schedule to you. I already have one. I'll get out a schedule to you so you can see what's coming up, so you don't want to miss it. And yeah, feel free and reach out if there's any thoughts or ideas that you have. So this is Doc V signing off for the summer, and I'll be seeing you bright and early next week, for the start of the fall season. Have a great weekend, everybody, and yeah, stay cool.